As we were saying, intellectuals, activists, political leaders, and representatives of social movements gather in Caracas, Venezuela, to take part in the Global Forum for the Relevance of the Bolivarian Ideas of Commander Hugo Chávez in the 21st century. To give us her insights on this event, we now welcome Claudia de la Cruz, coordinator of the movements of the Bolivarian Alliance of the People of Our America. Hello, Claudia.
Hi, how are you?
We are good. Claudia, first of all, can you give us details about the activities and how the forum goes on?
I mean, it's been really great to be welcomed by the Bolivarian Revolution and the Venezuelan comrades. The meeting's going really well. This morning we had a lot of conversations around the comunas and just the way in which the community organizes itself. And we talked a lot about the spirit of Hugo Chávez and what he has meant, not only for the Venezuelan people, but internationally as well. And so it's been really great and re-energizing to be in this space.
This forum takes place in a very complex economic and political context marked by international conflicts, inflation, the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, and a revival of the Monroe Doctrine. How can social movements counter imperial ambitions?
I mean, I think it's really important, first of all, to make sure that we identify where the war is coming from. Obviously, the war is something that has been designed by the Pentagon and the White House. It has a center in the United States of America. And so, you know, the U.S., we were just having this conversation around the union, the civic and military union that has been able to strengthen Venezuela as a nation. And in that same vein, I think it's important to acknowledge that, you know, the threat of imperialism, the threat of the United States as one of the most powerful countries in the world, is not the most powerful country in the world, is not something that only affects, you know, Venezuela as a nation. It affects the whole world, and we need to be able to identify that our common enemy, both within the United States and outside of the United States, is U.S. capitalism and imperialism. And so I think that that's the first thing to acknowledge. I think that the best way for us to be able to fight against imperialism is building working class internationalism, which was one of the biggest elements and one of the biggest lessons that Hugo Chávez taught us. And so I think, you know, in this context, we are embracing, uplifting that working class internationalism, that popular diplomacy that he talked so much about and that he actually worked in building in practice. So it's been really great to be here and to think through, again, an anti-imperialist lens, identifying the building of internationalism as the core way of fighting back.
On that note, Claudia, Latin America is seeing major changes with Gustavo Petro leading Colombia to a new future, Lula's return to power, and the far right showing its true colors. How is this interventionist will of Chávez present today in this new political landscape in the region?
I mean, it's the living legacy, again, of Hugo Chávez. He spoke a lot to integration. He created mechanisms like ALBA, not only ALBA movements, but also ALBA-TCP, Mercosur, and all these different instruments that gathered all these progressive governments to talk about, again, how to build outside of the capitalist and imperialist logic of the United States and how to fortify not only themselves as nation states, but the continent. This question of collaboration, the question of building unity on the principles of, you know, defense of human life, defense of the planet. Those are things that, again, Hugo Chávez had in the very essence of his politics, and it's something that will continue to help us build a stronger continent and a stronger world in the face of the unipolarity that the United States promotes. We're talking about multipolarity. We're talking about a socialist future. We're talking about a future that is able to guarantee the living conditions of all human beings. And so the changes that are happening in Latin America right now are really hopeful ones. But we still have to, as social movements, continue to make the push to build stronger. And we also have to, as social movements, take on the banners of defense of those projects.
Thank you, Claudia, for your insights and your time here in teleSUR English.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It was our pleasure.